Hey everyone! You're watching Turkish series stars. We've packed all the details into today's video, so make sure you hit subscribe and share before we dive in. Thank you for being here. After weeks of silence while whispers about her personal life swirled, Elsen Sangu has suddenly stepped into the spotlight with words no one expected to hear. She has always guarded her privacy, steering the conversation toward her work and keeping her off-screen world tucked away. But those closest to her say the quiet was hiding a storm, and tonight that storm broke. The normally composed, quick-witted star let her guard fall in a way that shocked even her inner circle. According to people who were present, Elsen spoke, for the first time in years, openly and directly about Baris Arduc, the man who has been both a defining on-screen partner and, in rumor and memory, a lingering presence in her private life. Her voice was steady, but the sentiment was raw. Time humbles you. Distance shows you what mattered and what you couldn't say, she confessed, adding in a breath that felt like a leap, I want Baris in my life again. Those words landed like a thunderclap and a sigh at the same time, stirring fans who had always read between the lines. Once upon a time, they were television's favorite duo, the kind of pair whose glances did more than entire monologues. They eventually drifted to separate paths after a breakup that both never publicly unpacked. Tonight's revelation has poured gasoline on reconciliation rumors that were already flickering online. Friends of Elsen describe this moment as deliberate, brave, and long overdue. She's done letting fear steer, one friend explained. She believes there's something unfinished, a sentence that never got its period. She's ready to look back and, if needed, step back. Naturally, all eyes swung to Baris Arduc. The calm, private actor has kept silent so far, as is his habit. But the question on everyone's mind is simple: how will he respond to a confession that feels like a door opening in slow motion? Behind the scenes, new murmurs have started to circulate, talk of a quiet meeting in the coming days, a chance for unhurried conversation away from camera flashes and clicking keyboards. If those whispers prove real, we may be on the brink of a brand new chapter for a pair that once seemed written in ink on the screen and in pencil off it. Fans can't help asking the same thing again and again: is the reunion finally near? After Elsen's admission, social media split into passionate camps. One side believes great stories don't end, they pause, and then they find a way back. The other side warns that revisiting the past can reopen old wounds, and that nostalgia is a tricky filter. Still, both camps are refreshing their feeds, waiting for the next sign, the next word, the next post that tips the balance one way or the other. Industry insiders say this declaration marks more than a headline, it signals a turning point in how Elsen wants to be seen. She has spent years projecting strength, independence, and a smart sense of humor about the circus of fame. But this time she chose to show her softer edges, the uncertainty and the ache she has carried quietly. People close to her describe months of restlessness, odd silences, and long looks toward places that weren't there. Even on set, there were days when she seemed far away from the scene in front of her. One co-star, speaking softly so as not to stoke a frenzy, summed it up with a delicate truth: sometimes, when we were between takes, I felt like her heart was paused at a memory. She laughed, she worked hard, she nailed her lines, but something felt left behind. It's like she never fully adjusted after he stepped out of her daily life. The comment wasn't cruel, it was tender and real, like watching someone carry a photograph in their pocket every day without admitting it's there. Meanwhile, the stillness around Baris is its own headline. People around him hint that the confession caught him off guard. He has always chosen understatement over spectacle, letting his work speak for him while his private life stays in a locked drawer. The question now is whether that silence is the calm before a response that could change everything, or whether it's a gentle way of saying he needs time. The truth is, it may take only one sentence from him to redraw the lines of this story. Fresh reports are already skimming across the tabloids and hopping from one Twitter thread to another. There's chatter that the two might soon share the same set again. A film? A series? A special appearance? No one's confirming, but few are denying. If the right script lands at the right moment, there's no way to separate the professional stakes from the personal ones. Their chemistry has always been the kind that can set a scene ablaze with a single look, and everyone knows it. When Elsen said, in her own words, that she wanted him back in her life, she didn't dress it up in poetry. She said it as a person who's done pretending. Maybe this was a message not just to him, but to herself, a line drawn under years of tiptoeing. You could hear it as hope, or as resolve. Either way, it was courage. And now, the entire fandom is holding its breath to see if her voice echoes back to her from the other side. Online, the reaction is intense and immediate. Supporters flood timelines with messages about second chances and about how timing can be the real villain in a love story. Others, more cautious, say scars don't vanish just because we want them to. But everyone agrees on one thing: the past they shared. On-screen fairy lights and off-screen rumors left a glow that never truly dimmed. People are remembering what it felt like to watch them together, how even silence between their characters felt charged. Friends and family in her inner circle insist that this revelation wasn't impulsive. They say it came after a quiet, private reckoning. For years, Elsen tucked her feelings into corners, convincing herself that work would fill the space. It didn't. In recent months, she has been letting that truth surface, step by step, until finally she chose to speak out loud. There's been an empty room in her heart, a friend confided. Now she's ready to open the window and let the light in. She's not hiding, she's not deflecting. She's telling the truth. Meanwhile, Baris remains off the record. He hasn't given interviews, he hasn't posted hints, and he hasn't denied anything. Yet, and this is important, people close to him admit he can't be indifferent to such a public, vulnerable message. The media is watching even his smallest gestures: an old photo liked, a song shared, a familiar place visited, wondering if any of it is code. Behind closed doors, the talk is all about whether a phone call has already happened, whether a meeting is already penciled in, whether the tone of this story is about to change. There's also the undeniable effect this confession has on how audiences see Elsen. She has played women who hold their ground, who figure things out and deliver smart retorts with a smile. Now she stands as a person who can say, without flinching, that strength also means admitting you miss someone. Viewers are responding not just to the romance of it, but to the honesty, a person showing that even with success and applause, some rooms stay quiet until you name what's missing. And there it is again, the project rumors. Some insiders suggest that a team has floated a script that would require both of them, that would lean into what they do best while giving them the space to redefine who they are together. If it happens, it won't just be a casting coup. It will be a moment of truth, professionally and personally, a mirror they stand before with millions watching. For fans, it would be the dream. The kind of reunion that makes the air feel electric and the stakes feel human. Her declaration doesn't evaporate just because the day ends. It lingers. In interviews, on timelines, in messages between friends who once watched them every week religiously. Time will tell if her words were a bridge or a cliff jump. But this much is already clear: the silence she wore like armor has been set down. She has chosen to speak, to move, to place one foot in front of the other toward whatever answer is waiting. As the tabloids circle and the fans speculate, every small development becomes a spark. A mutual follow, a shared event, even a rumor of a shared coffee is enough to send hearts racing and comments soaring. The most loyal viewers recall scenes where they didn't even need words to say everything. That memory is powerful, and it's back in the room now, refusing to be ignored. We'll be here tracking each turn with care. If they do meet, if a project does align, if a statement lands, you'll hear it from us. Until then, we're watching a story that feels both familiar and brand new, drawn from real feelings and long shadows. That's all for today's video from Turkish series stars. If you enjoyed it, remember to subscribe and share. See you next time.